Good luck. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Big Freaking Friday Show on the College Football Mafia Network. How we doing, Moen? How we doing, you?
Doing fantastic.
You doing
Happy
okay,
Friday.
Moen? Happy Friday. It's been a busy Friday. If you're a BYU fan, it was a painful waking up from last night. Got absolutely worked by Alabama, so not something you have to live through every once in a while, but that's where we're at. I want to thank everybody for being here with us tonight. We are only on YouTube, so I hope everybody enjoys the show that we're going to give you tonight. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube. That's really important. If you're new, that subscription really helps us. And make sure you hit that like and thumbs up as well. That goes a long way and where we're going to build this thing in the future. We're closing in on 4,500 subs, guys. Did you know that?
Wow, nice. Thank you all. We'll
Absolutely.
get there. Keep producing good content for y'all.
Moen, you want to say anything about this?
Sure. I want to say this.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of their women.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Whoever gave him a soundboard made a huge mistake. That's all I'm saying. And it wasn't me. We're going to start off the show with a bang right out the gate. Look what we got here, Moen.
Woo! Ricky Tungate is gifted 5 memberships. He dropped a 5-piece on the College Football Mafia. Laura Wellborn, Chris G, Rambling Ryan, WV Wildman 82, Mark Rucker. You were all gifted memberships by the very generous Hoosier, Ricky Tungate. Make sure you go ahead and drop a thanks to him in the chat if you're here. If you're watching on demand, tag him and thank him in the comments section. Ricky, we appreciate you, brother. Let me get a little effect up here for you. I don't have any Indiana Hoosier stuff yet, so we'll just go hype, and then we're going to let you cook, brother. Because it's a nice day to cook out. It is.
That was good. Great day.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
Let him
day
cook
here in Utah.
Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said, let him cook.
Love it. If you receive one of those memberships, it's good luck. Pay it forward. Give somebody else a membership. Keep this thing growing. We really appreciate all those members that we've had for a long time. Ricky is certainly in that realm now, and we appreciate all the hard work that our new members are doing for the College Football Mafia Network. Thank you so much. Rec Talk is in the house. He wants to hear more ACC gossip. Good to have you here, Rec. If you're here during the whole show, maybe at the end we might be able to bring you on. We'll have to see. We didn't plan that, but man, ACC talk is definitely top of the rail right now, and we're gonna have quite a bit of it tonight. So thank you for your super chat. He's also a member, by the way. I love Moen's bumper sounds. Rec will now buy you a Rodecaster
Pro. Hold on a second. We've got something for you.
Whoop, whoop. Absolutely. Georgia Tech.
You
got that sounder and everything, Moen. Thank you, Iraq, for everything you do for us. We really appreciate it, brother. Georgia Tech certainly is one of those schools that we'll be gossiping about tonight. So we're very grateful for you being here. Other than that, make sure you follow all of us on Twitter. And the subscriptions really matter. Give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment or question, and we will try to get to those. And for one last time, if your comment is put out and it's a super chat, we absolutely will read it. Other than that, we get to member and then non-member chats as we move through the show. So I'm going to start off just with a general Q&A. What do you guys think about all the, I don't know if we want to call them Florida State and Clemson rumors this week, or do you think there's anything going on there?
With Florida State and Clemson, absolutely there's something going on. There's a lot of conversations everywhere, and like it doesn't make sense. Where's the fit and everything else? The rumors abound, the sources abound, the analysis abounds, and really where are they going to shake out? That's what we're going to talk about today. I can't wait to get into it. And it changes though, based on new information all the time, and it's just great talk. So Noel talks, great talk.
Moen.
First of all, I want to say thank you to Rec Talk for that super chat. As a reminder, he is a friend of the show. While you're liking and subscribing to us after the show, run over to his channel and like and subscribe to him too. He is an entertaining fellow, and I can appreciate that as a fellow entertaining fellow. As far as Florida State and Clemson, yeah, I heard what Warchant had to say. Do I agree with it? Not entirely, but it is what it is. We'll talk a little bit. We'll get a little more in depth on Florida State here a little later in the show.
We also have a new member, Jason Spangler, back in the house. Good to have you, Jason. Welcome back. And because of that,
was legitness. Yeah, it was. Huh?
Because of that new membership, I want to make sure everybody knows what we're actually talking about. Members receive, which are these videos. Wild Ute University and other videos we put together that are member only. And why don't you just talk about these two, Carolina Reaper and the Private Capital 101 shows?
Private Capital 101 lays out how the Big 12 deal would look like based on all indications, based on all articles that have been written about private capital. It's more educational, but the really one that you want to check out if you're a member is the Carolina Reaper. 100% nails, guys. I think it sums up exactly why the ACC is going to fall apart, who I think is going to be the first domino to fall. A lot of people agree that's going to be North Carolina, why it makes sense, why it's going to happen before 2028. I mean, the namesake of this show is the ACC Apocalypse, why 2027 could spell doom. I'm going to say something right here, guys. I'm going to make a prediction that North Carolina will be in the SEC or the Big Ten, saying SEC by 2028 season. I'm saying it right now. So it gives 24 months and stuff to get out and everything else. They'll be playing in the ACC in 2028. And they need to do that because that's going to be the biggest financial upside year based on that analysis and that video right there on getting into the SEC and leaving the ACC. It's a must be in by 2028 for financial reasons.
Moen, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I just want to show you guys we're working on another members only live stream coming up. I'm going to share a slide of it,
please,
for you. This is the Big Ten, all the members, the beauty pageant. Here's a slide from it. Shows you the 10 core commonalities of Big Ten schools. We're going to do comparative to see how your school fits into the Big Ten. Is it a fitter? Does it not fit? Is it an outlier? We're going to analyze all the data. And trust me, there's a lot of data.
There's a lot of data.
There's a lot of data.
From a comparison standpoint, how many Ute did we have for, say, the ACC or the Big 12's analysis? Wasn't it 5 or 6?
Yeah, we've had maybe 6 to 7 on most. We've never gone to this level of detail. And like Moen's analysis, this will be comprehensive, and we'll break it out. Yeah,
absolutely. And what we've got here is a little beauty pageant.
I love it.
This is the beauty pageant.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
We're going to see who hits the talent competition, the swimsuit competition, the interview competition, the evening gown competition.
How about the Baby Got Back edition?
Baby Got Back competition. We're going to do that all. So don't worry about that, guys. We're going to see when that happens. Don't ask me for a date.
Okay.
I'm like 10 and a half hours in right now.
Well, all I'm saying is that we know how long it takes because you certainly worked on his, and we spent quite a bit of time, he and I, on the analysis we put together for all the ACC and all the Big 12 stuff. So it will be very interesting to see what these Big 10 will look like.
Just get ready to see this, guys. Just get ready to see this.
Oh my God.
That's good stuff.
Stop. Irving, my eyes are burning. Thank you, Moen, for bringing that up. I really appreciate it. We've got some more big names that we want to talk about in here. Ryan Willie, longtime OG member of the Mafia family, saying FSU talk is wishful thinking right now. So that $5 super chat, Moen, he's saying what, qualify some of these things that we're going to be talking about with realignment?
Yeah, I think I don't disagree with Ryan here. FSU talk is wishful thinking right now. I don't think they're probably number 3 in terms of where the Big Ten is looking at right now.
What do you mean? Say that again.
They're number 3.
Who's they?
The Big Ten has
Right.
certain layers or stratas of teams they're looking at.
Right.
Number 1 is Notre Dame. And
Okay.
it's always going to be Notre Dame.
Right.
Number 2 is North Carolina and the University of Virginia.
Okay.
and then
And together.
number-
You're saying together.
Yeah, they would have to come together.
Okay. All right.
And then they would, below that, you would have your Florida State, Miami, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Duke, Louisville, all those other schools would fall
Okay.
below that. But right now, if Notre Dame falls first, that'll be a thing. I don't think that'll be a thing. It's coming down to North Carolina and Virginia and how that falls and who that falls to. And trust me, I had a big, long half-hour conversation with Greg yesterday on it. Talked to my friend in Columbus about it. We all seem to be in agreement. We are looking at 2027 being essentially the doomsday year for the ACC as we know it.
And there's a reason for that, because right now it's 2025, and generally it's 27 months it takes. You'd already just mentioned it, 27 months from start to finish, from a declaration to being out. So that definitely takes us to what, near the end of 27, and now it leads into 28, correct?
Absolutely. And the other thing my friend from Columbus mentioned, and I mentioned it to Greg, everybody's fixated on the Big Ten's media deal in 2029, 2030. Don't count on that media deal being there for 2029, 2030. In all likelihood, the Big Ten's going to extend that deal with their partners probably out to 2035, 2036. And the reason they're going to do that is to get more money.
Right.
They can add games with expansion. They could go to 10 conference games with a 20 teams makeup.
Right.
They can add games for play-in games for the conference play-in spots.
Right.
Of course, this is predicated on them getting automatic qualifiers.
Right.
And then they can also, that SEC Big Ten media deal we know they've been working on, they can get more money for that as well. So I think in 2027, I think you're probably going to see something very similar with the SEC too, where they do some kind of expansion into, their media deal.
Okay.
Extension.
I appreciate you going into detail there, Mo. And this is definitely in your wheelhouse, right? Both you and I, Ute has some as well, contacts that basically are helping frame the picture for what's going to happen, not only with the ACC, but as we look into the SEC and the Big Ten, how that mosaic sort of goes together. And then, of course, we have lurking in the background, the Big 12, just waiting to scoop up the next best brands that are available. So let's do shout outs, and then we'll dive into the details of this ACC and what I'm calling it's really a crisis of confidence, and how that conference is going to handle all the news that's going to be coming to them over a long period of time. All right, let's do some shout outs first. Monopoly, that was you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tempest checks in. He helped me on Wednesday night. Appreciate Tempest. We were talking about Florida State. Thanks for being here. Says hello, Bomber. Let's see. TF Williams. Good to see you, TF Williams. Good evening, all. Go Knowles. Interesting the different narratives from PATC and Big Mountain podcasts. Okay, this is a great opportunity, TF Williams. You're one of our, I would say, more educated members of the College Football Mafia Network. You mentioned, obviously, Peek Around the Corner, Greg Flugar. That's somebody that we work with constantly throughout a given week. The Big Mountain podcast has come, they're kind of noon. So how do you make your decisions on who you're going to pay attention to and who you're not? These are questions that I'd really like you to think about, because the story's starting to get frayed out on the edges. And I would just warn everybody, make sure whatever information you're getting, make sure it comes from a trusted source. That's all I'm saying. I'm not pointing out anything in particular, but there is a lot of white noise out there, and I don't want you, some of the most intelligent viewers in all of YouTube and college football lore, please do not get sold a story just because it's what you want to hear. Just saying that. TF Williams, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you being
Greg
here.
Flugar is the gold standard of realignment talk. He has been for years. He's really one of the original genesis of these kind of YouTube channels like ours. I trust Greg like fully, seriously. Like, he is often right. And if he's ever wrong, it's because the information's changed after the fact. He's been pretty clear on this FSU situation. Look, guys, Big Mountain stuff, I like their stuff. I've watched their show before too. They give good analysis. They could be hearing it different. Doesn't mean anybody's right and wrong right
That's
now.
right.
Maybe they're just hearing different things. And so, but I mean, on this channel, we're going to go with what Greg says from the vast majority of the time. It's just proven out like that.
Unless I disagree with him, which sometimes I do.
disagree with him too, Greg.
And that's the thing, is we're good with that. Greg's good with that. Us disagreement, this is where we grow and we learn more information. So we appreciate everybody being here tonight. And certainly Big Mountain, we wish nothing but good luck to them. They seem to be in some of the information that's out there. Nathan Campbell says, hi, guys. Good to have you here, Nathan. Bob Swinger checking in for Penn State. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here, Bob. We appreciate you being a member of the Mafia family. And then we have Go Big Red, Skaven Yes checking in, another OG member. We're going to have to come up with an OG list, Moen, that every time we see him, we can just say, he's OG, he's OG. Can we do that?
No, what I'd like to do is eventually do similar to Twitch and Kick and other things, and have YouTube integrate badges that you can.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Certain users' badges, and we could just assign an OG badge.
Let's do that. I love that.
Well, we've got to wait for YouTube to get off their ass to do that.
Daniel Gygax, contributor extraordinaire. Somebody who does short videos for us and is certainly part of the growing network college football mafia family. He says, hi, everyone. Good to have you here, Daniel. We did Ricky already. Antoine Johnson checking in, also an OG member of the Mafia family. Hey, y'all, ready for the show? I hope so. Hope you got your popcorn, got your peanuts. We are going to put on a show a little bit tonight. Let's see, Joe Applewhite checking in. Good to see you, Joe. Make sure you subscribe if you're new and follow us on Twitter. Joe, we really appreciate you being here. Caleb Ramirez says, hi, everyone. Again, he must have said hi a little bit ago and I missed him. Vince Knoll, VC Knoll checking in. Welcome Friday. Let's talk some Florida State. That's definitely something we want to get to straight off when I'm done with shout outs, Vince. Baby Wants Bling. That's a good name. Baby Wants Bling. I love that. Saying hi, everyone. Joe Z checking in says Sean Connery's Harry back. Says happy Friday, Moen. That's
absolutely
for you. I don't know why you're so much about his back hair, but whatever. You do you. Kyle Visser checking in saying whose house? Hope you're talking about our house.
Moen's house.
Moen's house. MBM. Oh, I'm missing that membership logo next to your name, MBM. But I appreciate you anyway. Thanks for being here. Can't do much when they're sinking 25 threes. Yeah, that was something else. I hadn't seen anything like that since UNLV over 30 years ago. That was incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there were more trays than a high school cafeteria.
Unreal. Didn't matter who they were playing. They were going to win that game last night. Chef Mall 7, another newer member of the Mafia family. Good to see you. Smooth transition from PATC. I hope so. Just so everybody knows, we do not coordinate with Greg at all. We don't talk about when shows end. We don't pressure him on topics. He certainly doesn't pressure us. And yet it is like hand in glove for us. I think that should mean something to people. Clint Moses saying, go Utes. Mafia Utes face. Milk Mafia carton.
Using the member only
Mafia milk
emote.
carton.
I love the Wild Utes O face and the Mafia milk carton.
Okay. Clint, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate you becoming a member, Clint. Thank you so much, and carrying the torch for us around here, at least. Almighty Finn, what's up, college football mafia family? Good to see you, Finn. Thanks for being here tonight. Just seeing if there's any other. Mr. Ed Wayner checking in for the Houston Cougars. Go Houston. Cheering for you, brother.
Go Cougs.
You got our support. Well, I don't know about Moen, but you have our support.
No, I got Duke in the final. So
okay.
Moan.
That's
Moan.
crazy talk. That's
UNC
crazy talk.
grad doesn't want to hear that either, Moan.
That's crazy talk. UNC grad says go Heels. I love it. Let's see here. Get to some more that I haven't said hi to. We're near the end. Michelle Weintraub checking in, long-term member, OG member of the Mafia family, saying, hey, everyone, good to see you, Michelle. Big Lubbock checking in for Texas Tech, saying, sup, good to see you. Let's see. Clint Moses knows the trick. You use my name in your message. I generally will pick it. At Bomber, USC Trojan, Talia Von Olfen, Chihuahua alum, will be back in the 509 playing in Spokane Arena versus KSU. I know some of those things. I know Chihuahua. I know 509. That's the area code I grew up with in Washington. And he's saying they're playing in Spokane Arena. That's cool. That's cool, Clint. Thanks for that callback. That reminds me of the 509. Yeah, Gary Go Knowles checking in, always covering and doing news for Florida State. Other than what you're hearing from a couple of podcasts, what else do you know, genius? I hope you're not talking to us. Have we said something to make you mad? I don't think so. You got to be talking to somebody else. Mick Stevens, newer to the channel. Thanks so much for being here. Make sure you subscribe. TCU has been invited to the Big Ten rep for Texas. Moen?
listen, I'm crunching the numbers, guys. As soon as I get it out there, we will schedule a time. We will put that up for members. You can see, yes, TCU is included on the list, as was Texas Tech. You can see how those two Texas schools line up compared to the current composition of the Big Ten.
And I would just say we're not teasing you either with information that you'll never have backed up.
This
Anything that Moen's putting together is based on real data.
Yeah, it's just all data, guys. This isn't, we're not deciding who's going to be at the top of the list or who's going to be the next team in.
Right.
I'm just showing you who is the most Big Ten team not in the Big Ten.
I love it. But is it Bagman? That's Bagman coming back, depending on what happens with NIL. North Carolina and Virginia. Ute, North Carolina, Virginia. Let's talk about those two specifically. Where do you think and why?
SEC, because SEC needs the battleground territory. Plus, there's so many things working in UNC's favor there. We've talked about it many times and everything, the brand, the population, the student apocalypse, a lot of wealthy people in North Carolina that go into college soon here. Virginia, all the politics and everything with DC so close by. The Big Ten wants them. The SEC wants them. SEC is probably going to get them at the end of the day. So I think they both, as a pair, go to the SEC. And saying that for about a year, too.
Yeah, none of this is for long-term viewers of our shows. None of this is really news. The question I have here from Jason Spangler, who's I'm glad to have him back, by the way. North Carolina and Duke are the top two. What do you think about Duke?
No.
Let's address
Duke
specifically.
Duke is a candidate, but they're not in tier 1. They're not in tier 2. They're not in tier 3, guys. They're going to be in a tier 4, probably along with Georgia Tech. And some other ACC schools as far as the Big Ten.
Okay, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, North Carolina and Duke won't end up in the same place. Maybe different conferences. Maybe Duke's in the Big Ten, UNC is in the SEC, but there's just not enough bang for the buck double dipping into a state in today's world, guys. And that's any school, any combo, outside of perhaps maybe Miami and Florida State. Maybe. But no way in North Carolina, no way in Virginia, nowhere anywhere else.
You're not only double dipping, you're in the exact same DMA.
Right.
With Florida, at least you're getting Tallahassee and Miami. They're two different DMAs.
I think part of that has to do with the people that have been around our shows and watched us on Twitter and on other shows we've been on. We've been very consistent about the fact there's only so much money to go around. There's only so much money to go around for each one of these conferences, and then there's also a cap on number of schools that a conference may support. Anything past 20 in any conference is difficult to justify from a cost benefit analysis basis. It's very difficult. Notre Dame is the only one that can change those dynamics. All right. Vince Knoll checking in says agreed 2027. So he and I have heard a lot of Florida State in the last 2 weeks. Certainly 2027, they want out as soon as they can go. We'll dive into the FSU in just a second. Let me finish with the hellos here, Vince. I'll get to him though. Bagman again says, I thought you were going to say Big Ten wants John Hopkins. Okay. Can you explain to everybody what you meant by the Johns Hopkins last year?
I don't have,
because it took off.
I shouldn't have to explain it because you can actually go listen to it.
You shouldn't have.
What I said was John Hopkins would leave the Ivy League Plus library system for the Big Ten Academic Alliance. The only sport that's sponsored through the Big Ten for Johns Hopkins is lacrosse, and it will continue to be sponsored as an affiliate lacrosse member until they decide to leave. But yeah, Genetics 56 molests collies, and that's his business if he wants to do that. But
whatever, it's broken.
He can eat a bag of the biggest dicks and get constipated.
Doc Gibbs checking in. Good to see you, Doc, representing North Carolina State and the ACC in larger part. Influential FSU alumni really want SEC. So FSU strategy is to get SEC to want them and bid for them and to keep the Big Ten out of Tallahassee. All current hype is to create a narrative that Big Ten loves FSU. There's a lot in that tweet or message. Either one of you want to dive into that one? If not, I will.
Let's open up the Florida State conversation right here.
Okay, you want to start? All right, go ahead. Let's do it.
Okay, so Florida State with the SEC and the Big Ten. Based on the data and based on opportunity, the Big Ten and Florida State have explosive growth opportunity from a business standpoint. I'm telling you guys, just like straight up, like there is so much bang for the buck there for just like dynamic growth for Florida State and Big Ten getting in the market and everything else. That's one of the primary reasons why I think that Florida State actually does end up in Big Ten. I don't care. I know everybody says that, hey, SEC and stuff, Big Ten doesn't want them. They thumb their nose. I get it. I still don't think they pass them up. And so I actually think that Florida State ends up in the Big Ten. I've been saying that for how long? Have I ever changed my mind on that? No, not once. And I did an analysis last year on the Big Ten and the SEC for Florida State. If you remember, go check out the SEC member only for Florida State and the SEC. And here's the problem with the SEC, guys. And no fans, you're not going to like to hear this, but when you stack it up, Florida State is a average level team in the SEC when you stack it up versus the data. They really are. They're great brand and stuff, but there's elite brands, football brands that are in the South for the SEC. So I'm going to ask the question that I've been asking a lot here is why? What's the upside for the SEC to grab Florida State?
Thank you.
What is the upside? Because you need to have growth options here. This is a business enterprise at the end of the day. And you don't tell me it's just defense. That makes zero business sense. Just a defensive play.
Yeah.
Because then Big Ten can go get Miami. And then that defensive play just got blown up.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's defense. I don't believe it's defense at all. I think that Florida State and the Big Ten is the growth opportunity. 100%. It's not even close. The SEC and Florida State doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't. It never made sense to me. It still doesn't. I don't care what rumors. I don't care what sources. I don't care what the chats and everything else. At the end of the day, I think Big Ten and Florida State is a really good fit, really good marriage. I think it gets done at the end of the day because of growth.
Before Moen, you replied, let's get to MBM as a new member again. Thank you so much, MBM. Appreciate it. I can't tell you how many times somebody thought that their membership rolled to the next month and it didn't. So I appreciate you taking care of that, MBM. It's great to have you around here. You have become a super member. We really appreciate it. Go ahead, Moen.
Absolutely. He's a winner.
Winner.
Thank you for becoming a member. And again, if anybody else wants to become a member, just click that little cash icon. You can become a member from there. I think we've got a membership at $2.99, the soldier level membership, which is very inexpensive when you compare it to other people's channels. So I definitely would suggest if you could join up for that and join us on our members only live streams. Check out our member only videos. We release pretty much weekly, and we'll have a good time. We will have a good time.
We keep trying. I know that.
We try. We try. We do the best we can.
Absolutely.
Back to what you was saying.
Yes, go.
What is the value to the SEC?
Yeah, sell Florida State to the SEC to me. Well, how this makes sense?
So the SEC is negotiating for a 9th conference game.
Sure.
With ESPN. They're also going to negotiate for, obviously, those play-in games. They're going to do the same play-in that the Big Ten's going to do. They're negotiating based off of the Big Ten scheduling agreement. They're adding all these things in here. They want to add North Carolina and Virginia. But
right.
Like you said to me, sell Florida State to me. There are no more Big Ten. I'm going to tell you right now, in the actual thing, there's no more Big Ten school than North Carolina and Virginia. They literally hit almost every single metric. So I can understand looking at it and say, oh, the metrics say this team has to go here to make the biggest impact. I think at the end of the day, I think ESPN is going to put Florida State in the SEC.
What does that do for the SEC? Like,
it's what it does for
ratings amplifier. That's what I'm asking.
Okay, listen, if you're renegotiating a media deal and they're saying, yeah, we're going to give you money for North Carolina and Virginia, but you've got to take Clemson and Florida State in order to get this media deal done, depending on the value of that media deal, it's money. It's money. If ESPN says this media deal is worth an extra, I don't know, $500 million, if it has Clemson and Florida State in it, it's money.
Okay, so let's talk about the SEC network for a second. Do you guys know much about the logistics of the SEC network? We know the ACC network is largely owned by ESPN and split between ACC, right?
Right.
The SEC network. What's the structure of the SEC network? Do we know the ownership to that?
I do not know. It might be 60-40.
And so I'm going to the point of like, hey, if we're squawking so much about new state ads for the ACC network,
right?
Why wouldn't that be applicable to the SEC network? You already own South Carolina and Florida. You're not getting into new state markets to add benefits to the network.
You're not doing it through a market addition. You're doing it through a brand addition. You were saying the Florida State and Clemson brands are valuable enough to us that it's going to increase the value. Yes, we don't get into any more contiguous states, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think the SEC wants to get in any more contiguous states outside of North Carolina and Virginia. I think they would be more than happy to stop there. But I think that Florida State and Clemson are going to be part of this media deal with ESPN and the SEC. I just think ESPN, again, they're not going to be able to tell the SEC to do nothing. Networks can't tell a conference president how to vote, regardless of what people think. But I think ESPN is going to make it more worth their while to ensure that Florida State and Clemson brands stay within the ESPN footprint.
So Florida State to the Big Ten would be the crown jewel of realignment history.
If it worked,
the Big Ten, if it happens,
would
be the crown jewel of realignment history. Be
Notre
the biggest upside. No, Florida State, not Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a Big Ten school anyway, sitting in Indiana.
He's saying of the ones that aren't necessarily already tip of the hat, Moen. He's saying if they stole Florida State, it would be a huge deal. That's what he's saying.
I get that, but I think that, listen, I don't think ESPN's going to let it happen. I don't. I think ESPN will stick to this media deal and say, okay, we're not renegotiating the media deal. You're stuck here till 2035, and you're going to get exactly what you're going to get because you guys don't want to take Florida State and Clemson.
Well, we know two things. We know that the next window is 32-33 for the SEC. So they do renegotiate one more time before the ACC does. And we also know that you have a very, very hungry, puppyish Florida State administration that are willing to do whatever it takes to get out of their conference. I just don't see the why, which is what you're coming to, the why an SEC needs to basically bend its parameters right now right this second to bring in a school that in 4 years they could get for the exact same value. What's the rush to do it today?
I don't think the rush is to do it today. I think it's
Okay.
2027.
Well, that
I
is
think
today,
again
though.
we're
That is
well,
today, though.
okay. It's
It
it's
is.
about getting everything done for these two conferences in 2027. I think the
Okay.
Big Ten and the SEC are both going to extend their media deals. I think they might go all the way up to 2040. And they're
You're
going to
talking
lock
about for
in
length, not number of schools.
Length.
Right. Right.
But
okay.
part of that, well, you have to cover the cost of that expansion in that.
Well,
and
that's
I think,
what you're saying.
yeah, and I think for the SEC, again, I don't think we should treat Florida State like it's not a big deal for Florida State to get into the SEC or the SEC to get Florida State.
I don't think we said that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a huge program.
Of
So what's the
course.
value for the SEC to do it? It's Florida State. It's a huge program.
But you're double dipping into a market that
You
you
double
already
dip-
own.
You double dipped when you got Texas, when you had Texas A&M.
Yeah, but Texas and Texas A&M are different.
That's right. Texas is a huge brand, just like Florida State is.
But Florida State right now doesn't. They're a 65 million. They're
Okay.
a 60 million brand.
Okay. And
So
what
how do
happens?
they make up the difference to 80 million? Where does that
Well,
difference come
again,
from?
I think there are 60 million brands sitting in the ACC right now. I think if they get to the SEC, they get to start playing SEC opponents more often. You're going to get more marquee matchups with a Big Ten scheduling agreement.
So
Florida
you're
State's
saying
going to
future. You're saying
yes, I'm
future.
saying future. You got to look towards the
Okay.
future to see the
Okay.
value.
Okay.
And I think in 2027, new media deal. Listen, Florida State's ratings are good right now. I think they're the best in the ACC.
Close.
Imagine when they're actually playing teams that draw ratings. I mean,
Yeah, I
imagine when
get
it's Florida State playing Alabama, or Florida
Right,
State
right.
playing Georgia, or Florida State playing Florida every single year.
So what you're saying is the SEC, what's in it for them is the brand name, Florida
Yes.
State.
Huge brand value.
You think that that's enough to amplify Florida State into the SEC, despite all the other tightly, it's tight geographical locations right there. I mean, because you got Florida there, you've got Alabama schools and stuff. Like you're pretty dang close, right? You're not really spreading out much. Like you're in the
Right,
heart
but
of SEC country. with
I
Florida State
think
already.
that's what the SEC like. They want to be that regional conference. They want to remain a regional conference. The only way they want to get out of it is to go North Carolina, Virginia. So I don't think you can put the location. Listen, all those SEC schools are packed pretty tight when compared to Big Ten schools. Alabama's not that far from Ole Miss. Alabama's not that far from Mississippi
Right.
State. Now, granted, Mississippi State ain't competing with Alabama, but since Lane Kiffin got to Ole Miss, they're competing for the same recruits. I don't think it's going to.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you this question: what's the growth upside of the SEC adding Florida State? Yeah, like your ratings can
Wait.
stay. They're going to be good either way.
Can we
right?
do this super chat really quick, you?
Sure,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All
Do
right,
the super
all right.
chat.
Carrie Knowles, Go Knowles, checking in. Another, again, OG member, Florida State fan. Great to have Carrie here. $5 super chat. I wasn't commenting on the three guys on the panel. You shouldn't have to ask that. Go Knowles.
Appreciate
not-
it, Carrie.
And that's sort of out of context. I'm not sure who said what, but I appreciate the super chat regardless. Carrie, thank you very much. One other before we move. Oh, go ahead, Mo.
I want to give Carrie a sounder.
Please.
You just got to keep living, man. Livin.
Thank you,
I
Carrie.
love it. All right. So the next thing, and I want to get to these because they're absolutely true. So let's see. Rock and Rant says, I feel like I'm watching Groundhog Day at the moment, which was what we did last week. And I'll get to that in just a second. And then Rock follows up by saying, yes, but Mo and a Bomber fought last week like butt guys and cougs on this point. It was fun. Haha. That's absolutely true. Thank you so much, Rock and Rant. He's a valuable member of the tribe here, the College Football Mafia family. We really appreciate everything that Rock does. And I will just say this. If you're watching this and you're saying, why am I watching this show again when we know we're just talking about points that have been discussed for a long time? And I'll tell you the reason why. Let me take a breath there. The reason why is there's a bunch of disinformation in the world right now. I can't tell you how many stories I saw in the last week that had the most crazy ideas brought up without any context. And it's just like shoot on the wall. Eventually you'll get one right. The reason we're talking about specific issues is because we don't do that. We're talking about the exact tipping points. Moen is being very specific on what he thinks the Big Ten is looking for and the SEC might need. Very specific is what we're doing here. And I hope it's not redundant for you because we do add new content as we get it. But it's very important to understand, and most of you guys already knew this, that these points are important to talk about because when it finally happens, you want to know that you knew about it first. All right. Anyway. Okay.
Yeah, we're
Moen.
digging into the freaking soul of this thing, too. We're going to give you guys the best freaking analysis in the world here because I want to bite down. I want to say, give me something that shows the Noles and the SEC can provide explosive growth. I haven't seen it. I'm the data guy. I don't want to hear sources. I don't want to hear rumors. I want to do my own research. I've done it, and I haven't seen it yet. Big Ten in Florida State is explosive. It's the crown jewel of all realignment. The play of all plays. It's a beautiful thing. I can't wait till it happens and everything. But the SEC is just, it's hard to see it work, guys. Like the SEC, even Feinbaum's digging on Florida State. Why the freak would they do that? To your like future ad and stuff. Why would you dig on them? Like there's so many things. They're just like, what? Why is this momentum in the SEC going on right now? I don't get it at all. I don't think there's anything to really back it up at the end of the day.
Sam 8911 SK, good to have you, Sam. It's been a minute since we've seen you. Welcome back. When FSU plays LSU, it's 8 to 10 million view game. That's what Moen's point is. I want to be very clear. You isn't saying anything different. You's not saying that it's not an 8 to 10 million dollar game. What you and I are both saying is for the conference to do something to bring in these schools, there has to be a reason for it. And what you're building might be backloaded. In other words, you're bringing them on knowing in 5 years they're going to be worth twice what you brought them in at. Absolutely, that's possible. But right now, this second, there has to be a reason to make those decisions. And this might be the biggest one, Moen. Key off of this, 8 to 10 million for LSU, Florida State. You think that's the win?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's a win. If you're renegotiating a media deal, and you can show all these games with huge numbers, how is that not a win for you? If I'm the SEC, that puts me in the top, the catbird seat as far as the negotiation. As to Ute's point about why Feinbaum is going around and digging on FSU and doing this, when you go buy a car, you don't pay list price, guys. You go around, you kick the tires, you find the problems, you make problems up if you have to, and you say, look at that, that stadium, man. I just can't see paying $26,000 for this with that stadium. Well, maybe I talk to your manager if you got to, brother, but I ain't paying 26.
When was the last time that happened? These are relationships.
Yeah,
this isn't just a car, Moen. These are people at Florida State. You're digging them, man.
Moen, you're treating Florida State like it's a commodity.
I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Well, they are commodities.
Well, they're people.
All of these are commodities.
We're talking about the Florida State Seminoles
we're talking about the
here.
people.
Okay. Well, I didn't say what brand of car it was. It could be a really great car. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I just want to be very clear. We are not dissing Florida State today, okay?
No.
We are not doing that. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Moen, but we just got to be careful. We didn't get to that other one, so we just skipped by 2.
No, this one was before that. It was right after Carey's one. We didn't pop it up yet.
Go ahead and bring it up then. I don't see it, so go ahead.
Bomber and Wild Ute, not everything is about data. SEC doesn't want the big in the South. But nobody can give their opinion without an argument.
Yes, that's right, Ryan. You got a problem?
No,
Let's get
thank
some
you, Ryan.
badger.
It's just passion. Look, guys, I think we love talking about this stuff. It's a privilege to do it with all you guys, and so we just feel passionate. We love it, though. We love doing this. It's a privilege. So it's not like we're angry at each other and stuff. We love each other. We're just having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely having a good time. Thank you so much, Ryan, for the super chat. Let's give him a sounder there, Moen.
Yes, let's give him some badger sound.
Let's do that. Badgers make sounds? Yeah, let's go.
They do. As soon as the soundboard plays.
Is that it? All right.
That is one pissed off badger.
Yes, he is. Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate you so much. Let's go next to Mark Bowman. Another valuable member of the Mafia family checking in, $10 super chat. Bob Thompson, that's us, feels that conference sizes more than 20 are not typical. Where are you, Ute? Right here. Let's get some high fives, baby. Yeah, there you go. Let's go.
There we go.
Because we've been saying that for, I don't know, 2 years. So you're right, Mark. Bob doesn't think more than 20. And Ute, there's a reason.
Yeah, it's like most financially optimized amount for a conference is 20. Based on really like how many games you can put on TV and everything else, it's just optimized at 20. You can go to 24 max. Anything more than 24 would be just too much for any given conference, unless you're talking about a super Premier League, which we're not on that topic today.
No, not right now, at least.
Yeah.
And I would go ahead.
I was going to say, one size do not necessarily fit all. 20 teams might be great and perfect for the SEC. The Big Ten might need to go to 24 simply because of all the travel involved. Going to 24, you can put 6 teams on the West Coast and 6 teams in an Atlantic pod, 6 teams in a Midwestern pod, and cut down on a lot of that travel for, in particular, Olympic sports.
Okay. Unless we go to something that's more travel or conference agnostic, and you play in your region for football. That would be another way to solve that problem. But thank you very much, Mark, for that super chat. I really, really appreciate it. And you're right. You keep us square. If Bob Thompson says something, we listen. So thank you very much for reminding everybody. And then MBM again, he's a new member and now super chats left and right. $50 super chat. First, before I read that, I just want to give you a personal clap and thank you so much, MBM. Thank you. Moen, do we have sounder? Special one. Give us something we haven't heard for a while.
Let's see here.
How about your sucking? Let's do that one.
What? Don't play the sucking mode.
Play the sucking
not
mode.
that one. Sucking you and sucking you.
There you go.
You're sick of it. I get it.
There you go.
Thank you. Also, Mark Bowman needs one. Mark Bowman did not
Yes,
get one
please.
yet, so
Yes,
we're going to give Mark
absolutely.
Bowman this one.
Arresting me for what? I'm not allowed to stand up for myself? I thought this was America. Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry. I thought this was America.
Oh, my God.
And then we'll
That's
make it
fantastic.
rain. You guys, Mark and MBM, are making it rain over here.
I love it.
Cash
Bring
money,
it down, baby. Bring it down.
Bringing it all
MBM,
down.
we will
on
give you what you seek here. We
That's
will
right.
give you what you seek.
You let us know what we
Absolutely.
need to do, and we will follow your direction, MBM. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We got one more sounder we got to play for him.
Go
One
ahead.
more.
Oh, it's quite pleasant, actually. It's like a gentle tug. Okay, slightly less gentle now. Oh! My udders are on fire!
Thank
That's
you so much,
self-explanatory.
MBM, for that 50-piece super chat.
Thank
Much
you,
apprecited, sir. Go Pokes. I will get some Oklahoma State stuff on here. Maybe a gunshot sound effect.
There you
for
go.
in
We
the
need
future.
something. Yeah.
I just,
we need
I
something.
usually do those on Friday, and I had a neck injection this morning.
That's
so,
all right. Your health
we'll
is
get
more
it on there
important.
for you, though, MBM. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark Bowman. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Thank you, Kerry Go Knowles. Thank you, everybody who's given us super chat, became a member. Ricky Tungate. Thank you. We'll go through the thank yous again when we get towards the end of the show. But right now, we are getting hype. We don't get hype. We stay hype
We
here
stay
on the
hyped.
College
All
Football
right, Mo.
Mafia Network. We stay hype. And we still got time to go here, so we're going to stay hype until the last second, people.
All right.
Get it. Get it. Get it.
Let them cook.
You
Let them
done?
cook.
That's
That was great.
fantastic. Real quick off topic, but have you guys done a video on have we done a video on Big 12 viewership over the last 11 years like you guys did for the ACC? Ute, take it away.
Hey, check this out. So over the last week and a half, been working on Big 12 weighted average viewership. We already have the ACC. Just finished the Big 10 too. Working on the SEC. We'll get all this and everything, but I need to know something. So put it in the comments here. What do you guys want more for the next members only live stream? Do you want like 11-year viewership for Big 12? Because we could easily do that. Or do you want the survival analysis for Miami with a 50% share for the Big 10 to see if it's financially viable to leave the ACC on a 50% half share? Because that's what I haven't done. I mean, I can get that prep pretty quick and everything. I haven't done the analysis. I think that's super interesting. I think it's going to be pretty tight. So what are those two things? Yeah, let me know what you want. The viewership live stream, or do we want Miami?
is that
survival
a
analysis.
is that a poll, Moen? You can put in action.
I
Can
here?
can
you
put
do a
that
pull
in
up?
as a poll.
Yeah,
Sure.
why don't you do
Yeah,
a
thanks, Moen.
live poll? We've got more than 100 people watching us live. Most of those people are members. If they're not members, they soon will be. Let's ask them, which is more
Let's do it.
important. I think great. That's a great question. Thank you very much. And I would just back it up and say, MBM, I know you're newer around here. Sorry, my headset's screwing up a little bit. Go into our library and just pick any day of the month last summer. Certainly last spring and the last off season, and you will see videos pretty much answer any question you can come up with. If you have a question you've never seen before, something that you haven't seen a video from, immediately let us know. Get us on Twitter, certainly. If you don't do Twitter, let us know in the comment section, and somehow I'll hook up with you. I don't know, maybe we can do it on Discord or something, but yeah, please let us know, because if there's a question out there that we haven't answered already, we will answer it. We just need to know about it. All right. So we are basically an hour in, guys, and we have got so many marked comments. I think what we're going to do is we're going to jump through those, but I have one more question. Moen just hit on the question of the day is, Florida State, why SEC? Ute has already gone into some of the metrics about why that doesn't necessarily look like it's a slam dunk. That Bama just roll tide roll. Be nice to me. Come on. You got to be nice to me. You should have put on there, hit another shot from freaking half court. I mean, they were making Jimmer Mania look nuts by shortness. I could not believe how far some of those threes were. It was insane last night. Anyway, look at that. You're getting me all going. I didn't mean to roll
I'm
tide
keeping
roll.
it entertaining.
It's your fault. That's
I'm
your
keeping
fault,
it
Owen. I
entertaining,
blame
man.
you. All right. So one last thing then. So in the ACC itself, the way the ACC is put together, let's talk about the title of the show, which is as ACC Apocalypse, right? We try not to do clickbait on our shows. Certainly we don't tease you and then don't give you information. But right now, this is probably the hottest question out there right now. Where is the ACC going to be? And I would say 2027, 28 is the time frame. Let's just do a quick vote between the three of us before we move on to the how it might happen. How many schools are in the ACC Ute in 2027, 28?
So we've got 17 ACC schools plus
Right.
a Notre Dame to make 18 right now. How many are in starting the 2028 season?
Yeah.
Whew. I think that ACC survives through backfills.
Okay.
So I think that you probably have anywhere from 12 to 16 schools in the ACC, but I think half of those members will be new members from the American largely, right? USF,
right?
Tulane, Memphis, backfill maybe with like a UTSA.
Yes.
A lot of American-based schools and everything. So
right.
I think that you get 12, 14, or 16 ACC schools in start of the football season for 2028, but it's going to look a heck of a lot different.
So let me make this question even more clear. How many original members, if we're counting SMU, Cal, and Stanford, are still in the ACC? Sorry, that's my fault. Bad hosting there.
Wake Forest, Boston College, SMU will be there.
3. Okay.
Cal and Stanford will probably Cal will be there, I think, likely too, unless the Pac-12 pulls them away, which will be its own event, right, at that time. So you got 4. Stanford probably goes to Big Ten. Not throwing Stanford into that. And then you've got Syracuse, you've got Pitt, and you've got Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech. Maybe 2 of those schools. So probably like 6, 7. Maybe.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say that gets you to 8.
7. Yeah.
Well, there's one on the middle. Yeah, there's one that's a swing vote. But okay, keep going.
Yeah, so I think that you've got 6, 7, maybe at most 8. Then you backfill with 4, 6, 8.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. The backfill is a different night, different conversation, but we do need to ask it, and that is, will Washington State and Oregon State get a call for the ACC, or do they fold the Pac-12 and just move everything to the ACC and do regions? These are all open questions, right? Not to be answered tonight. Do you want to add anything to that before I ask Moen?
I think that Washington State and Oregon State better really do their due diligence at that point if it were to bust up like that, because you're talking about media payouts now that are below the $20 million per year figure.
Right. Okay.
If Washington and State and Oregon State can get around $10 million in the Pac-12, and like it's a difference between or $10 or $11 million and like a $14-15 million, probably it's not worth it. So you have to do the analysis. It's not a no-brainer, but it could happen.
Very good. Okay, Moen, you heard all those different questions and answers. What do you think?
Here's what it's going to boil down to. How are the exit fee payments distributed to members who are sitting in the conference?
I think that's a good question.
If they're distributed, if they say, hey, we're going to distribute them over the next 3 years, I think it's going to be hard for schools like Louisville, Virginia Tech to immediately jump out of the conference. If they try some stuff like, well, it's a 20-year annuity and all that, then they would jump out a lot quicker. But
Right.
I think it's going to be, and I think this might end up being a legal battle or something.
Sure.
Some of these schools are going to figure out what exactly that money, because look, if let's just say North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson, Florida State, Miami, pick a Georgia Tech or a Duke, maybe it's Notre Dame, those guys are out of the conference. That's a boatload of money sitting right there in the ACC's hands.
Yeah.
Are you willing to pay $100 million to get out, knowing there's a potential that you get a share of $500 million from the ones that left? If Louisville or Virginia Tech or Pitt think they can get that over the next 3 years, I think maybe you wait 3 years and collect that money, have a lower buyout, and get some more money in your pocket. And then you can go to the Big 12 in 2030, 2031, whatever.
You know how these structured and payments normally done. If we just assume that we know the ACC is going to be dead after 2030, at least as it's currently constructed, what do you think because we're only talking really about a 2-year float gap between the end 27 to the beginning of 2030. How much money do you think is given? How much stays with the conference after the
I think the exit fees are going to be staggering. They're not going to be paid at like point A right when it happens. It's going to be like over a 3-year period, like Moen you're alluding to. So I think all the exit fees will be staggering. The thing that I think is going to get pressed in court that might blow up the ship, guys, is once the first school leaves, say it's UNC, they agree to pay the 165 over a period of years.
Right.
But then, like the next school out, can't you go to the courts and say, hey, the conference was worth that much, but now UNC's gone. Can we this get negotiated down again? I think there's going to be more court battles that happen once the school leaves. So you lower that fee even more. And I think you've got a dang good legal argument to say, hey, what we agreed to and everything is no longer intact. Our value has been eroded. We're not paying that same amount to leave. This conference isn't worth as much as it was before UNC bounced or Miami bounced. I think that's exactly what happens. And so I think that breaks the back right there.
That is absolutely brilliant, Ute. And I know this is the type of stuff that others aren't bringing up. So let's dive into that because I think that's really important. Before we do, let's do shout outs to everybody. Thank you for being here. We're an hour into our Big Freaking Friday show. We appreciate everybody being here tonight. Make sure you follow all three of us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, turn on your notifications on YouTube and Twitter. That way you know when our shows pop up or when we send out tweets sharing information. We really appreciate everybody being here tonight. And thanks for all the super chats we've received and the new members. Let's dive into the second hour. Generally, this is going to be our Q&A session. So I hope everybody appreciates. And we're taking all your comments in kind. Just so everybody knows, we always default to all super chats. And then we take member chats are in priority. And then the last, everybody's comments are free. We may or may not get to them. I've already got 47 flagged, and we'll keep flagging them, but we're going to start working backwards through those things. So come up with your comments now because we may or may not get to them. All right, Moen, you were going to say something. I apologize.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think when this happens, I think I could easily see 4 teams from the ACC all making an exit within the same day and having a destination to go to.
Okay. All right. But you're not going to say who or where.
Well, I think the four obvious ones would be North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, and Clemson to the SEC. And you ask why? Well, North Carolina could actually vouch for Florida State and Clemson in the SEC, and I'll tell you why. It's always good to have friends. It's always good to have voting blocks. Yeah, you're not going to be able to outvote everybody in the SEC, but having a 4-team voting block, if you can convince Clemson and Florida State, like, hey, we got your back, we'll get you in the SEC, but we're going to be calling the shots as far as our voting block goes. It's always good to have friends in new places. So I could see them vouching for Clemson and Florida State. And it'd just be one fell swoop in 2027. Hey, we're going to turn on the news one night and we're going to find North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, and Clemson have left the ACC.
So
and
that
they've
same day,
accepted an invitation from the SEC.
and that same day, wouldn't you have news X, Y, and Z schools have accepted invitations to the ACC? Couldn't you see backfill announcements?
No, I think
announcements coming
here's the
here
thing.
to
I would think, Bomber, they'd want to wait on backfills till they know how many spots they have to backfill.
Okay.
They could run out and get 4, and then 3 more schools could leave for the Big Ten. And then you get 3 more. So,
well, let me ask you a different question. And I know you have this in the data that you've analyzed. Why not the ACC bring on those schools now? They did it with Cal, Stanford, and SMU. They brought them on specifically to counter Florida State, Clemson leaving. So why not do it today?
So why not add USF right when Florida State
right,
takes off?
Right. Well, not even when they take off. I'm talking about tomorrow. Why wait? If you're the
What's
ACC,
dilutive?
Is
it's
it
dilutive.
though? Is
Yes.
it dilutive?
Right now, it's dilutive.
They're already they get a predefined amount. Any schools that go to ACC, it's in their contract. It's
Well,
not
USF. I mean, you have to add a new state to the footprint too.
You would,
So
but
USF's already in Florida. Like all your targets are basically in range already, right?
right.
Like
Well,
in the states that you occupy.
I mean, some Texas, Florida.
You have SMU. You've got Florida, right?
Yeah, but you know Mississippi. You don't have. There are Tulane. Sits in the middle of 4 different DMAs, right? So I'm not saying they should do this. I'm simply asking the question: when does the ACC move? And Moen just said he thinks it's after, and I totally understand that. I also understand to control the cycle, the news cycle. It would not shock me if it happened before any schools actually left.
For more expansion for the ACC,
just to have body, so when people leave, the conference still has the number you want to sit at.
Well, you have to get the votes still, right, for the ACC.
Yeah,
I don't know why most of those teams would vote for because you're diluting your conference, like you're adding weaker
leaving
products in.
They don't care. Florida State's leaving.
Well, Florida State cares until they leave. So does North Carolina.
But if they overlap right now, they take the 27 months and say they're going to do it in August in 2 years. You guys both, neither one of you can see it happening before. That's all I asked. Wouldn't say it was going to. It's just a question. Let's get to a couple of super chats in here.
Hold on a second, Bomber. Can I say
please.
one thing?
Of course.
Speaking of votes, I have ended the poll.
Oh, no.
It ended 50-50.
Oh, no did it really?
Way.
How many people voted?
44 votes. So you had 22 votes for Big 12 ratings driver. You had 22 votes for Miami Hurricane coming through.
We'll do them both.
So flip a coin.
That's hilarious. Rock and Rant's in the background, marshaling votes. That's hilarious. Let's see. Kerry Go Knowles, $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Kerry, for everything you do. Great show tonight, guys. Thank you very much, Kerry. And then there was another super chat in here. This one, right?
We did that one already.
Oh, we did. I thought there was one more. It flashed on my screen. Okay. I take it off. I apologize. All right. You guys want to add anything else before we start reading some of these?
Yes. Can I give a little sounder to
You can do whatever you want to do. Go ahead.
Let the man cook.
We've already did let him cook once tonight.
That's the baddest Kerry sounder, though, Moan.
Let's do this.
Hey, man. Am I driving okay?
I think we're parked, man.
Thank you, Kerry.
I think these people know little about Cheech and Chong, Moen. That's what I'm guessing.
I'm sure Kerry knows.
Okay, I hope so. Okay, is that it? You ready to move?
Yeah, we can move forward. now. I
Okay,
just
let's
wanted to make
move
sure
on.
you got
Okay,
us sounder.
let's move into our Q&A then. That's what we're gonna do. I'll do a bumper really quick. Let me get this up. And Ute, I want you to tell everybody what's going on with these membership videos.
We have the membership videos that
yeah,
we
right
said,
there.
like the Carolina Reaper is the one you want to check out. Look, we're going to be making a Miami live show too for members only, and we're going to do the same type of analysis, but throw Big Ten payouts in at a 50% revenue share level, maybe even look at a 75% for Miami to see if it makes sense if the Canes are the ones to first bounce. Look, Greg Flugar, right before our show, he mentioned that Miami is an interest for the Big Ten. We all know that. So Miami could spring this thing too. It could be UNC, it could be Miami. I want to check it out. I'm just interested in this, guys. I know that you probably are too, but I want to see this analysis. I want to do it, and that's the next one up. It's going to be the Miami Hurricane.
Okay.
All right, very good. Let's do some shout outs then. We got not shout outs, but we have comments. Let's work through what we've got right now. Keep giving us those comments, everybody. We appreciate you. Rock and Rant says apparently Miami to the Big 12 or over greater than the Big 12. I don't know.
It should
Miami's
be an equal
not,
sign. Should be an equal sign.
They're not going to the Big 12. Miami's not going to the Big
12.
No way. Moen, you think?
I think no. I think what he was trying to say is he was watching the poll. And at the time he was watching the poll, Miami was bigger.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Equal sign. It's 50-50.
I got you. Okay. All right. Joe Z, good to see Joe. No one has ran the scenario yet. What if UNC waits blocked by Peter Hands until 30-31? Moen, you're going to have to decide for that. I don't know what that means.
You're going to be back in court. You're going to be back in court. I mean, that's all there is to it. If they want out that bad, they're going to get out. Again, I mean, we've talked about it so many times. Wolfpack, backpack. That still has to be sorted out. That, hey, and I wouldn't be shocked if that's not sorted out before you hear that announcement of the 4 leaving. But yeah, North Carolina is not going to be weighted or blocked by anybody. They're leaving. They're leaving. They have been discussed, and I know Greg's mentioned it. Virginia and North Carolina were originally the same slots that ended up going to Maryland and Rutgers. Virginia and North Carolina were offered those slots first, and they both declined. And they did it both after conferring with each other. This isn't North Carolina's first go-around on this. And don't forget, North Carolina paid a law firm a substantial amount of money called the Carolina Blue Matter. So they know what their number is. They know every obstacle that's coming up. I'm not buying that they're going to get blocked or have to wait until 2030, 31.
Go ahead, you.
Let's do a reminder here.
Yeah.
So Peter Hands, who is this guy, right? Peter Hands. So here's the power hierarchy. This is the battleground in the state of North Carolina. So really, North Carolina wants out of the ACC. They want SEC largely, maybe Big Ten, but we think SEC, right? That's where the prediction has been. So Bubba Cunningham reports up to the UNC Chapel Hill Chancellor Lee Roberts, whose boss, he reports up to UNC System President Peter Hands. Now, this Peter Hands guy has a lot of power in the state because he is in charge of 17 public universities, including UNC Chapel Hill. That's why he has so much power, because he basically dictates what UNC does as far as on the realignment front and a lot on the academic front and everything else. He's in charge of the whole North Carolina system, which is not UNC Chapel Hill. It's its own entity with its own logo and everything else. And then Peter Hands reports up to the UNC System Board of Governors of 24 people who report up to the General Assembly of North Carolina elected officials, 170 elected officials. This is a muddy process here. UNC has to make it worthwhile for a lot of parties to get out, and they have to sweeten the deal for NC State, who's the most affected out of all these public institutions in North Carolina. if they ended up going to the SEC. So, look, you got to get Peter Hands on board. If you're Lee Roberts, the UNC chancellor, Peter Hands needs to get the Board of Governors, and Chapel Hill needs to get the Board of Governors and the General Assembly. Everybody needs to be in agreement on this. That is the situation laying out the battleground in the state of North Carolina.
And I would just echo that this mess that's in North Carolina is mirrored in Virginia, just not as intertwined. But they still want the same thing. They want those schools to be in the same conference, and they're trying to sell the exact same thing North Carolina is. Virginia's trying to do the same thing, force both their schools into the Big Ten or the SEC. Okay?
There you have it.
Very good. Baby wants bling. Baby wants bling. Why would Big Ten take Stanford when they already turned them down last time? Moen?
That would be because probably Notre Dame wants them. And unfortunately, Notre Dame is in the position where they can use their leverage for the best amount of pull on it, and they will probably get whoever they want to come in with them, and whoever they don't want to come in block them. So
Man, that's mean.
It's mean, but that's the way Notre Dame is. I mean,
Monopoly, what's this? We got five memberships.
Devilishly handsome man in an Ohio State top hat has gifted 5 memberships to the College Football Mafia. So you can all come in and watch our Big Ten show when we do it. You can watch that Miami show when Ute gets it ready.
Yes.
You can watch the Big 12 thing if those don't fall off by then. Shooter
You can
Texas.
watch my Super League video, which is coming.
Shooter Texas, Hayden Maxwell, Lance Lackey, Timbo, Jeff Woodworth. We're all gifted memberships by yours truly, Monopoly. So I get to pick a sounder for myself. And I think you know what I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick. No. That's
mowing is the word. Mowing is the word. All right. I give you permission on this day to say mowing.
Enjoy those membership, guys. We got 10 new members 12 new members tonight, actually. So
yes,
12
sir.
more members on the train. We'll keep that rolling. So just wanted to throw those out there and thank everybody for having such an excellent March. And we'll see you all on that members live stream for the big show.
Thank you. Appreciate everybody that has done those super chats and new memberships. Thank you. We appreciate it. By the way, if you received a new membership from somebody else, consider paying it forward and giving somebody else a membership. That would sort of how we get this thing, keep this thing on the tracks. They can then watch the videos that are members only, and then the cycle repeats. So if you receive a gifted membership, consider giving somebody else one and helping out the Mafia Network. All right. Steel Austin checking in for the University of Utah. Another valuable newer member to the family here. Bob Swanger agreed Notre Dame cares about Stanford, not Cal. It made sense to bring Cal with Stanford to ACC, but that doesn't mean Notre Dame cares about Cal.
I don't disagree with them, but here's the thing. Stanford might care about Cal. So again, if you're trying to placate Notre Dame, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Stanford is obviously the more valuable take.
Right.
They'd rather have Stanford in the Big Ten Academic Alliance and Cancer Research Consortium. They probably would like. Listen, if they go to 24, they're going to need a 6 team on the West Coast. Who is that going to be? If we're just going to assume Stanford is number 5. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Colorado? Going to be Arizona State?
Are you talking about going to 24 now?
Going to 24. Let's assume they go to 24. You need a 6 team on the West Coast to fill out that.
Yeah, I think it's Arizona State or it's Colorado if Dion's still there.
See, here's my thing with Arizona State.
Go ahead.
They have a Wolfpack backpack of their own. The Wildcats.
But they're not as near tied together, though. They said that in the Pac-12, and then that ended up being nothing.
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. I think Colorado would be an intriguing option there. I know you don't want to hear it, but you could also throw Utah into the argument.
Sure, go to 4D teams and they can pick Utah. That's totally fine. I don't think they're going 24. So
right. I'm just saying they would need a 6 team on the West Coast. So
yeah, I think
that's going to open up
math
some
works out.
debates. Which is better, Cal, Colorado, Arizona State, Utah?
Right. I get it. Go ahead, you.
Yeah, listen to Mo, and he knows what he's talking about.
Okay, there we go. Now everybody's had their chance to talk. Rock and Rant checking in again, saying, "Friends, don't let friends not hit the like button or subscribe." Thank you so much, Rock. Appreciate all the work you do for us. Sooner than later, it's going to be closer. We really appreciate it. Let's go here to Brett Taylor, another valuable member of the Mafia family, saying the unknown question that will decide expansion and demise of ACC. Does ESPN want to keep Fox out of the Southeast more than Fox wants to get into the Southeast? And what this is imagining is some sort of fight over the schools that are coming out of the ACC because the ACC no longer is holding them close. I personally don't believe that's happening, but it is possible. What do you guys think about this?
Go ahead, Moan.
You're not going to keep Fox out of the Southeast, even, but the best thing you can do is keep the most valuable brands under your umbrella. And I think that's what ESPN wants to do. I don't think they want to let Clemson or Florida State go to the Big Ten. They want to keep them in-house, keep those brands in-house, make the SEC network much more valuable, make their ratings games for even their broadcast games more valuable. I think, listen, the Big Ten's going to get in the Southeast. They're either going to get Florida State or Miami. Pick one. You can't take them both. If you're the SEC, you can't take both those schools. You can only take one. And I think between the two, the one the SEC would want more than anything is probably Florida State. So you're not keeping Fox out of the Southeast. That's not happening. They're going to get there. It's just a matter of how they're going to get there. And do you let them get there with your most valuable brands, which is Clemson and Florida State?
Play offense. Play offense. Don't play defense. I don't think defense is going to be in play here, guys. I think that Fox is going to getting into the Southeast because it makes good business sense. You don't make these huge financial decisions on a defensive play when you can block Florida State, but you can't block Miami, guys.
Yeah,
I'm going back to it. The SEC already owns the state of Florida and South Carolina. You're not adding SEC network in those footprints. You already own it. Your ratings will improve, but not to the level where it makes a huge difference. It doesn't make business sense as much for Clemson and Florida State to go to the SEC. And I'll die on the hill, guys.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. Is Florida State a national brand?
Yes.
So if you add a national brand to the SEC network, doesn't it make it more attractive for cable providers outside of the SEC's footprint to have a conference that has lots of national brands like Texas, Florida State, Alabama?
I would say this, and now you can answer. I would say this. I was just thinking about if you add school X to what is already the SEC viewership numbers, which Ute has done this. You bring in this school that has X number of watchers, X number of viewers in your stadium. The question really comes down to, is the viewership going to go up for the entire conference, or is it going to stay the same? And if it's staying the same, then really what are you doing to make a change? I personally believe that both Clemson, Florida State, Miami, I don't know about North Carolina, but those three, wherever they go, they're going to bring viewership numbers up. That's just my opinion. But that is the starting point for any of these schools. Are you going to hurt us, or are you going to help us right from the beginning? Go ahead, you.
Yeah, I think that adding Florida State and Clemson will improve your viewership, but I think it's going to be a marginal improvement. It's not going to be explosive improvement because you already have massive viewership. How much more massive can you get? Not much more. SEC actually has better viewership than Big Ten right now. Not the biggest Ohio State's the biggest brand. Michigan's right there, but when you factor it all in, SEC gets more ratings than Big Ten. So you're really not getting a lot of squeeze there, guys, at the end of the day and stuff on the viewership side. And so really looking at the finances of it is hard to see on how it makes a lot of sense for the SEC to do it. I mean, if you're talking about half share or whatever, maybe, I guess, if you're But like the Big Ten has a huge upside, huge, to get into these new states in the Southeast.
Moen?
I think the value portion is you can create a more valuable product in ESPN. You can create a more valuable product in the SEC network. You're still going to have to deal with cord cutters and figuring that out. But listen, if they're coming along with this standalone direct-to-consumer, that package is going to include the SEC network. And if they want to charge $25 for that, some people might balk at that price. But then a lot of people who aren't even really SEC, like I'm not an SEC fan. I don't have an SEC team I root for. But I watch SEC football. I'm going to pay $25 for that to make sure I get SEC network and I get ESPN so I have access to SEC games. I think you make a more valuable package.
Do you watch SEC network, Nate, out here in Utah?
We have it. I'm on Comcast. I don't know what you have. If you have DirecTV, I don't know. It's available, but no, I think I've only watched one game, and I think there was might have been 2 years ago. Anyways, I went out of my way to find it. It didn't just pop up on my TV, which means it's more difficult to find. I think that's Utes' contention, right?
It's not a needle mover. That's what I'm saying. It's not this is not a needle mover.
Yeah.
It's just not, guys. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what, there's explosive growth versus marginal growth opportunity here. That's the rationale behind this. No sources, no nothing, my own analysis. That's why. That's the logic. That's the rationale. And it's hard to turn that down, guys. I've been in the business world, for a long time. You don't make marginal investments. You make explosive investments.
Yeah, it's tough to imagine. Can we move to the next comment, or do you want to answer that more, Moen? Go ahead.
We can move. Let's go ahead and move on. We've kind of all hit our points.
All right. C. John checking in. It's good to see C. John. Thanks for being here tonight. Waiting is like laying in your own grave. The boat is sinking. Get in the life raft ASAP. This could apply to several points we've talked about tonight. I'm going to take it that it means, why wait if you're the ACC and you know you're going down? Get proactive and bring in some schools sooner than later. That way people know we're here to fight for our life. And we're not just going to let our conference wither away by the best brands leaving and us not looking like we have a plan. That's my opinion. How do you take this comment from Opie?
So I think that we're on to a new comment.
I didn't change it. Did you? I was on.
Yeah, I wanted to throw this. I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
go ahead. No, I've got it marked. I'll put it back up.
If you've got a Power 2 invite, you jump today, guys. The numbers support that. I'm telling you guys, even if you weren't going to make $1 and you pulled an SMU type transaction, it's still a no-brainer. Today, not tomorrow, not the next day, as soon as possible, as soon as you get an offer, as soon as you get out, even if it's for freebie on the media rights front for a period of 3 or 4 years, right? It'll be 50%, 75%, or 100%. You go today, now, don't wait.
There you go, Moen. Now you can move on if you don't want to answer this one.
I wanted to get this one for Opie before we missed it.
Go ahead.
Opie Didon. The SEC is a regional conference. It's national. The Big had to go national to be a national conference. I don't necessarily disagree with this, Opie. I think this is accurate. The SEC has more viewers. The Big Ten has fewer viewers, but the Big Ten viewers are considered more desirable to advertisers, which gets us into the demographic breakdown. And Rock and Rant and I have discussed this on Moen After Dark on Sundays. You can have 10 million people watching you, or you can have 1 million millionaires watching you.
Well, sure, but what's the actual upside?
The advertisers are more interested in the 1 million millionaires.
Well, I understand that, but what level? You're implying there's a 10 times level in ad rate to make it equal.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think he's saying it may. I think he's saying it's an option. Right.
This is what NBC and CBS and Fox got in bed with the Big Ten for.
Right.
They can sell their advertising rates at a higher rate simply because of the audience that's tuning in. But Opie is 100% correct. The Big Ten wasn't a national conference until they expanded to the West Coast.
I just, having grown up on the West Coast, I completely disagree with that. It didn't matter where the Big Ten school was. I was watching Big Ten football. It was one of the best brands. Same with the SEC. I was in the upper northwest of the country. I watched those games because those are the best brands to watch. Didn't matter what time zone it was. Didn't matter when they came on. It really mattered what the schools were and if they were big time. I just, the premise, I just don't think that's right.
Well,
it might be for a majority of people. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, I'm just going to say here for the counterpoint, the SEC's dominance over the last 20 to 25 years of college football is what has
Right.
made it the national brand.
Okay, that's
during
fair.
that time, the Big Ten had what, two national champions, three Ohio
Yeah, but
State
you're
twice
saying
and Michigan once. So
Yeah, but the point is, you're saying that means that you had to expand west to become more relevant, and I don't think that is true. I think you did. I think it did get stronger, and that was definitely a benefit. Picking up Oregon and USC does not hurt, but you didn't have to.
we didn't have
Anyway.
to. Okay,
Yeah,
we didn't have
didn't
to,
have
but
to.
it certainly helped.
Okay, if that's
It's like
fair.
it's exposure too. Like, I mean, the SEC and the CBS agreement that built the conference, guys. Like,
really
even out
did.
here, like you watch what's on linear TV. Like, you watch it because it's the big games and everything. They're right there for you. They get pumped up and everything. And the SEC CBS agreement was so massive. But I
Yeah,
feel like, when now the SEC just strictly being on like ESPN, ABC platforms is actually kind of hurts them.
I
Because
agree.
CBS was such an exposure generator for you. And now the Big Ten's on that
Yep.
and everything. But I think the SEC was national because of that game of the week on the SEC in the mid-afternoon, right?
Mhm.
You are exactly right. I'm so glad you brought that up because I think it did matter and continues to matter, not just for the SEC, but it's killing the ACC. It's absolutely killing the ACC not having a whole raft of schools on the west part of the country that had to survive, right? And unfortunately, the schools they brought in don't bring any viewers. So it's like you were doing the best of the rest, but even that was grasping at straws. I think ESPN is actually hurting all of its brands. I think it's hurting the Big 12. I think it's hurting the SEC, and I think it's killing the ACC by choice. So where do you go from here if you're in those conferences? If I was in one of those conferences, I would get, well, SEC can't do anything, but certainly I would get proactive if I was in one of the other conferences that's not, that's tied to ESPN wholly. Anyway. Go Black 45. Good to have you here, man. Appreciate it. A valuable member of the Mafia family. $5 super chat. Moen, do you ever see Minnesota, Nebraska, UCLA, Rutgers, Maryland ever pulling their weight on a constant basis? That's a great question. Go Back 45.
Well, let's go ahead and give you, since you mentioned Minnesota. That was Greg watching the game last night, Minnesota getting eliminated.
Man.
I would say this. Look, prior to this season, you could have thrown Indiana in that mix. And look at what Indiana was able to do.
That's true.
There's nothing that's stopping these schools from competing except these schools.
Yes.
It's about getting the right hire, getting the right culture in there, and getting the kids in there that want to play for it. Indiana was a playoff team last year. I know people didn't like it, but prior to the playoffs, their only loss was in conference play to Ohio State that went on to become the national champion. So there's nothing stopping Maryland, Rutgers, UCLA, Northwestern, or Minnesota from doing the same thing. And Minnesota has done very well for themselves since they've hired PJ Fleck, comparatively to what they've done previously. Rutgers has done much better after they hired Greg Schiano than what they had done previously and comparatively. UCLA, young coach, we're still trying to figure that one out. Maryland, I think it's Mike Loxley's last year this year. Northwestern's investing $1 billion with a B to make a state-of-the-art football facility in Chicago, Illinois.
So you're saying in the Big Ten, because the new NIL rules, the new pay your players from the university rules, they're gonna have the ability to bring in better players. That's essentially what you're saying. And if they want to, they can compete for the Big Ten championship and then possibly get in the CFP. Is that generally what you're getting at?
Well, they don't even need to compete in the championship. They could play in one of them playing games.
That's right. I'm just
but
saying.
yeah, I think it's a great
relevant.
Yeah, I think it's a great leveler. What's happening? I think that's the case. It is a great leveler in the Big Ten. You saw it with Indiana this year, and they did it with a bunch of 3-star kids. You don't need 4-star. It's about the coach, the culture, the playbook you use. But I can't count those schools out because look, all this NIL money's coming in. Minnesota picked up a huge offensive tackle target in recruiting just this past weekend. So I'm not counting those out. Will they be consistent? I don't know. We'll see.
Definitely takes leadership and commitment from the organization to be more successful. Just really quick, is Moen pinging out to you, or is that just me?
No, Moen's pinging out just
a little bit. Okay, I'm just warning you, Moen. Like every third word or so is dropping off, just so you know. Okay, Timothy Green checking in, saying, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Comment. If you really want to do us a favor, take one of our clips out of the show and turn around and repeat it on Twitter. That doesn't hurt at all. We appreciate everybody that does that for us, and certainly Timothy Green does that for us every single day, and we're very, very grateful for Timothy being that soldier out on the East Coast protecting the college football mafia network and family of contributors. It's right now we got about 15 minutes, everybody. 15, maybe 20 minutes, and then we're going to be out of here. I've already got 59 comments flagged. So at this point, if it's not in my flagged, I probably won't get to it, but I will get to any super chats that come in from here on out. All right. Thank you, Timothy. Timothy, I appreciate that. Jason Spangler says, the NCAA basketball tournament advertises with Capital One, Northwestern Mutual, and AT&T. College football advertises Dr. Pepper and Tostitos. The wealth and intelligence of your customer matters. Oh, boy. What do you think about that, Ute?
Well, I think he's right about this, actually. And I guess the basketball demographics for the tournament are probably more
erudite.
You get a wealthier demographic than your
say.
college football. That's the implied thing here.
Yep.
And I wouldn't disagree with that. I don't know the demographic breakdowns. Like lacrosse might have the best, right? Like Olympic sports might have the best. And I guess my counterpoint would be like, what kind of multiplier for profit are you getting off ad revenue for that? That might be true, but are you paying 10 times as much for Northwestern Mutual advertisement over a Dr. Pepper one?
Yeah.
Like, what's the multiplier, and is that significant or not? Nobody knows that. Maybe Rock and Rant does. Rock and Rant, why don't you tell us?
He might actually. Rock and Rant, join the show. You know how to get on here. I'd love to answer that question. Moen, what do you think?
I don't disagree. It's the demographics. It's always been the demographics. But Ute's right. I don't know what that ad rate is. I'm sure 1834 male is your preferred demographic for college football.
Sure.
I don't know what that multiplies to. I don't know. So, yeah, demographics are important, but I can't get into how important unless I actually knew what kind of multipliers they were charging advertising.
All right, we'll move to the next one. Thank you very much for that comment. I appreciate it, Jason. It's great to have you back. Let's see here. MH Ortho 12. The only MH I knew about was MH, 7? Where did he go to, by the way? Anyways, he says, I think Notre Dame then blocks FSU big bid. Moen?
I think Notre Dame's going to get a heavy hand on who gets invited to the Big Ten. I think Notre Dame's in that position. I think that this is the most leverage they're going to have over the Big Ten going forward. So I think they do get to more or less call their shot.
Okay, traveling partner, you're saying. Bring in whoever you want. Is what
and
you're saying.
Block whoever they want.
Okay, all right. Ute?
I think the obsession with Notre Dame is mind-blowing still. I've made mention many times and stuff like the Big Ten obsession with Notre Dame is just shocking. Even from Ohio State, Moen, like this Notre Dame, like you've got a bigger brand than Notre Dame. Michigan's a bigger brand than Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Bama's a bigger brand than Notre Dame. Notre Dame is just like, it's just a dude, right? Like it's like a good brand, but like, come on, like it's not the best brand. Like don't let them call the shots. Don't let them take everything. Like don't cow to Notre Dame.
It's a 14-point buck. You can shoot that dough every single day and have plenty of meat to fill your freezer, but you want to shoot that 14-point buck. That's what we want. We want that buck, and we're not going to be happy till we get it. The one that got away, and we're not going to be happy till we get it.
You know what's interesting about this, Ute? As third parties, you and I are not really in the middle of this conversation, but I will say this. Every time it's this first time I heard Moen was on Greg's show when it was no realignment without Notre Dame, right? We heard no realignment. And then he came on, started helping us here a little bit, the College Football Mafia Network, and we started doing more things, and that sort of tailed off a little bit. It wasn't so much about Notre Dame driving the bus. We went through another offseason. We come up, and Notre Dame's back at the top of the list to eat or to be eaten. This is the problem I have with all that, Moen, is that 1 minute you want Notre Dame to be subservient. You want them to basically beg to get into the Big Ten. And then on the other side of the coin, you're like, you'll take them at any cost because of what they bring and their money and who they bring with them.
Yeah, I don't need them to beg to get in the Big Ten, but just going into the Big Ten would prove that they were submersive or
And do you think that would ever happen?
I think it will happen eventually.
That's no.
I think it will. We'll see. I mean,
Notre Dame's
we
the
will
odd
see.
girl that like the Big Ten wants so bad that just hasn't been. They've been able to get everything they wanted, but this hot girl's out there still.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's because chasing a woman is the exact type of thing. You definitely need to song and dance and give her everything you have at the same point. Boy, you better treat her right. You got to treat her right or she's going to leave you. So I find it hard to believe that any Big Ten president is going to vote for a situation where we're begging Notre Dame to come in and then they're going to drive us the same way they drove the ACC. I can't see that. So we'll see. Time will tell. Kerry Go Noel says cakes and hoes.
Cokes.
I don't think that says cakes.
Oh, Coke. Cokes? I can't read it. What's it say?
It says Cokes and Hoes. I think he's talking about Miami.
Whatever. All right.
The stuff goes on outside of Utah, Bomber.
No, I just didn't. I couldn't read it, to be perfectly frank. Stormy Cyclone, it's good to be here, man. Thank you so much for showing up. We've missed you. Moen, I love your catchphrases. Must have hung out in bars in your younger days.
Listen, Moen can play darts like nobody's business, and I've been to quite a few honky tonks before. I know when you hear the screech of the chair to jump up and look where it's coming from.
Did you just refer to yourself in the third person?
I did. I referred to Moen in the
I'm
third
not
person.
sure. I'm not sure I'm okay with that.
Well,
Moan is the word.
Oh my gosh. Rock and Rant again. ESPN is like the nurse that unplugged the life support machine without permission.
Ooh.
Oh, Rock, you've got it. Quickly, we'll go through these. Who are on the 24+ list for Big Ten membership? Tempest says maybe it's Utah and Colorado. All Good 720 says Utah, ASU, TCU. And then Tempest says, Bomber, what if they take BYU? I that would be fantastic, but I don't think that will happen. So it's easy not to worry about that. I don't think they're going to go to 24. But even if they go to 24, there's a lot of schools that are going to want to get in. And I just don't. I see Utah like 8 or 9 on the list. So my list is different than everybody else's. You want to say anything about those 3 really quick?
No, I think that go back to those lists. Can we get back to that?
I just went through them. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
ASU
is going to be a target.
Utah's
going to be a target.
And
Cal,
TCU.
Stanford, TCU. I mean, look at like Greg's been on the show before and mentioned it too. Like in the past, Cal's had some smoke, and so has Utah. USC and Utah had a relationship. That was a good relationship. That might be a dark horse add to the Big Ten if they go to 24. I don't know about Colorado. Moen's big on Colorado. He talks about Kansas a lot. Those 2. But we'll see. Here's the truth of the matter, though. I think the Big Ten did make a mistake in grabbing these West Coast schools because there's so much dang travel. We don't talk about that enough, but like they need help. And then Stanford provides the help. And also, if you grabbed an Arizona State, a Utah, Colorado, you're providing travel support essentially, and possibly a pod out there. So it makes a lot of sense to go and maybe double dip out west again.
Very good. Moen, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all, but I will say it's a beauty pageant, guys. Colorado, we didn't talk about it today. Prime just signed a huge extension.
Yeah, I want to tell. In fact, I have the tweet. Keep going. I have the tweet.
He signed
marked.
a huge extension with Colorado. You have to think that Colorado, they may be thinking to the future too. Like, hey, if they go to 24, Or if they go to 20 and they need another team on the West Coast, we got Coach Prime in the wings. We might be it. The only thing is Coach Prime's going to have to win. He's going to have to get into the playoffs. He's going to have to make a run in the playoffs. It's great to recruit. It's, great to have great sound bites and good viewership, but you got to win. Got to win.
I cannot. I'm sorry. I had the link. I must have double clicked it. I do that every once in a while. If Moen's right, it's $10 or $11 million a year for Deion for the next 10 years. $56 million contract.
Worth every penny.
Yeah.
Just win,
not
baby.
10 years, 5 years. I apologize. 5 years. It's $10 million per. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Deion's got to win. He's going to have less talent this year than they had last year. It's going to be a challenging year, I think, for the boss. It's going to be hard to see them really get 8 wins this year and stuff. So what happens? What happened last year to the year before? There's an erosion factor with the intrigue of Prime. He's always going to get ratings and stuff, but it's not every year. It's going to taper down and stuff because it's going to be more normalized. And so we'll see what happens with this. Like, he better win.
Yeah, sorry. I was looking at a link. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody contributing on that. I think Deion is going to be here to play. We just have to sort of set ourselves up for it might be completely different than anyone thought. I personally thought he was going to be 2 years and out. I'm not sure where Ute was, but him staying another 5 years is epic for the school.
That's shocking. Really is.
Really, really good. Another super chat from Stormy. Stormy Cyclone checking in, $5 super chat. Glad to see Deion get the money. He's good for the Big 12, Colorado, ESPN, and Fox. He is true on all counts. You're exactly
Colorado's
right.
turned into the new Texas, though, exposure-wise, guys. I know there's a lot of squawking about OU and Texas always getting on Big Noon. Colorado is that. It's just a replacement stuff TV ratings-wise. So there will be less exposure unless you're playing Colorado for Big 12 schools, an opportunity when Prime's around. But the whole ratings, the whole boat will get lifted when you're including Colorado ratings.
Moen, you want to add anything?
Yeah, absolutely. For the Big 12, this is a huge win. Huge win. He drives the ratings. He brings all boats rise with the tide. When you go to do your next media deal, if Colorado's still in your conference with Deion Sanders, you basically hit a home run before you even walk in to negotiate. And I'm sure this is what Deion told him when he was negotiating.
Tell him to bring me my money.
And I would say that it's a 5-year deal, right? So now everything's pointing towards 2030. Everything. The media deals, the ACC, realignment, 2030 is the Armageddon that we've been talking about. I do believe the ACC, though, just to wrap up our show, we got about 9 minutes to circle back on the ACC Armageddon part of it, and that is those schools may choose to leave earlier. They might not be there in 2030. They may leave in 27, 28. And who those schools are, I'll say two. And then Moen and you guys can say as many as you want. I'm claiming Florida State and Clemson, obviously, are on that list. I think they do leave before 27, 28. What do you think?
I think it's North Carolina, Virginia, and Miami, and Florida State and Clemson. All of them. And Notre Dame. There's 6.
Georgia
I
Tech?
think they're all gone before 2028.
Georgia Tech?
No.
Virginia Tech?
That's going to be interesting to see where like the legal grounds and everything with the exit fees tapering down. You never know what that's going to look like. Those schools, I think Virginia Tech ends up in Big 12, right? We've talked about that before, but I don't know exactly the timelines. It's less certain the timelines.
Okay.
As jumping over to Big 10 or SEC for these other schools.
Duke, Moen.
I don't know. I would say the 4 that are certain: North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, Clemson. And I think they all go in the same move. I think they all go to the SEC. At that point, the Big Ten's got to counter. I think their preference would be to counter with Notre Dame +1. But if Notre Dame's not ready at that point, they would probably counter with Miami +1 travel partner. And that travel partner would be Georgia Tech or Duke. Take your pick.
Why wouldn't it be Stanford?
Well, I mean, again, you've got to have a travel partner for Miami.
Yep.
I
Adding
guess I'm
Stanford
not
is
big on
not
a
a-
travel partner thing.
Okay,
You're
well.
only talking about one school. I'm just saying it's not like you're saving a whole lot of. There's one trip up north you don't have to take.
Right, but I
one
mean,
extra school.
it's still, I think that the Florida or Miami would like that a lot.
Okay.
And hey, it could be Miami, Florida State. It
Yeah,
could be.
right,
I
right.
just think I can't see ESPN letting Florida State go to the Big Ten.
Okay. All right. The non-battle between the SEC and the Big Ten is remarkable because one minute we're saying they're going to get aggressive and defensive and do all these things to protect what they have as theirs. At the same time, they don't want to be they don't want the perception to be that they're begging, that they're doing somebody else's work. They want to be perceived as the ones that are eating and not just getting leftovers, right? So if we can assume both the SEC and the Big Ten are going to eat by 2030, doesn't it tick more markers off to say you want to do it sooner than later so that you can get ahead of that messaging? Because if you say the Big Ten does it first, takes 2 + 1, Notre Dame +2, is what I'm saying. So you get to 21. Let's say that happened. That news, they would want out. They want that news cycle. The SEC would have to wait, weeks before they could get that news cycle over to them.
I don't disagree, but and it's been mentioned time and time again, and we'll keep mentioning it. North Carolina, what are you doing? We hear one side wants the SEC particularly bad. The intellectual side wants the Big Ten particularly bad. Moneymen, who knows where they're at in this? So until something happens with North Carolina, we're pretty much gridlocked.
Unless Miami jumps.
Yeah, I still think the Big Ten would want to wait and see what North Carolina does first.
That's going to be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah,
Miami, the private school.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. The other thing that, and I want to get to this from Tempest really quick, Stanford, Cal, SMU jumped from the Lusitania to the Titanic, and both sunk like the ACC ironclad Gore. Moen.
I just want to say that at some point somebody's going to write a book about this, about all the machinations that went into the dissolution of the Pac-12.
Machinations.
Because there were machinations, and
There were.
Stanford and Cal, they may have had a lifeline out, and they chose to follow Notre Dame to the ACC, and now they are locked into paying for that grant of rights if they want to get out too. So, congratulations, Stanford and Cal.
All right, let's get to a couple more here, and then we're going to get out. Thank you very much, Tempest, for that. We have a super chat from Carrigo Knowles. Miami played in the Big Least, so they know how to travel well up north.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's give Carrie another sounder moment.
I don't make the rules, ma'am. I just think them up and write them down.
That's perfect. I love that so much. Just a couple more here.
Thank you, Carrie.
See. Thank you very much. Clint Moses representing the great state of Oregon and Oregon State Beavers. I need to see 12 viewership so I can compare versus a diminished Pac-12 Beavers viewership.
Yeah, we'll give you that information. We will give it to you guys and the members only live show.
There we go.
Let me ask
and
you a
I'll
question.
include, for Clint right there, I'm going to include Oregon State in the numbers.
Right.
Are those Big 12 numbers going to be weighted with Texas and Oklahoma in the conference?
Historically, yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you go back,
we could adjust them out.
That's what I was going to say. Are you going to adjust them out without Texas?
No, I'm not
I
going to
don't
adjust
know.
them out because
I
you
don't
got
think
Colorado
you can.
now. It's basically
Yeah.
Texas.
Okay.
I don't think you can. But it is a question, Mo, and I think what you ask is a decent question for sure. Doc Gibbs, last question, and then we're going to get out of here. Doc Gibbs says, question, why has FSU had to work so hard to be wanted, yet UNC has done very little and is claimed to be, I don't know, something.
Everybody's darling.
Everybody's darling. Moen?
Listen, sometimes it's good to be the number one. And North Carolina is the number one. They know they're the number one. And they can pretty much walk all over you. And that's exactly what's happening. Again, I think I could see North Carolina reaching out to Clemson and Florida State and saying, come be a part of this with us in Virginia, but you listen to us.
All right, Ute.
I respect Florida State's aggression. The ACC would not be in the shape that it's at without Florida State really being so aggressive. We thought it was going to be like $1 billion exit fee number, $600-700 million bucks, and Florida State won. And so Florida State had to do this while UNC could just hang out and play the political situation. UNC is in a completely different world than Florida State, but Florida State wants out. And they're going to get out. They're aggressive, and usually aggressive natures pay off in life. And so Florida State's going to get taken care of.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I would just also add on top of that I think North Carolina knew at some point that they were going to have to start talking about this realignment stuff, but they had nothing to gain by going out with Florida State and Clemson. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Let them do all the heavy lifting. And now they appear like an unscathed darling, right? They haven't been in the fight. And so their appearance is, oh, here's a fresh and new, somebody that's not all dirty from the fight. Let's look about them. When in this room, between the three of us, Florida State and Clemson are way up here because of what they did do. They went out and fought for their freedom, and now they're going to get the rewards by getting out of the ACC sooner on a cheaper ticket. So, Doc, it's not fair, right? Life isn't fair. I'll say that a million times. But that's why UNC,
yeah. Speaking of bars, North Carolina was like the guy who instigates fights at bars but never throws a punch.
There you go.
He sat on the sidelines instigating it, and then
there you go.
Never threw a punch, and then just raises his hands in victory when it's all over.
Agreed. Okay, I think that's going to wrap it up. Moen, what's your last words before you get out of here tonight?
Well, let's do some thank yous right off the bat. I'm a bad man.
I'm a bad man. You hear me?
Ricky Tungate gifted 5 memberships. Jason Spangler, MBM, became new members. I gifted 5 memberships. Rec Talk, Ryan Willie, Kerry Go Knowles, Mark Bowman, MBM with the huge 50-piece donation. Kerry Go Knowles again. Go Black 45. Stormy
Let's go.
Cyclone. Let's freaking go, people.
Yes, sir.
Go.
Yeah.
Go. We are going to go, and we're going to find a sound effect that works. He needs some milk.
He needs some milk.
I love it.
He needs some milk.
Thank you all for supporting the College Football Mafia family, helping us keep the lights on. It's been a fantastic March. I got a feeling April's going to be even sweeter, guys.
That's going to be massive.
Keep working. Go ahead, Ute.
Is the ACC doomed? Is there apocalypse coming? And the answer is yes, there is, and it's going to be 2027 or even sooner, probably in 2027. These schools will be in new conferences by 2028. That's what the numbers say, guys. So firmly believe that, especially UNC, your Florida State, your big brands. 2028, you'll be playing a different conference.
And I'm just going to wrap this up by saying Florida State, Clemson, Miami, certainly, and whatever, UNC, doesn't matter. Florida State and Clemson, in my mind, are way up high because they did all the heavy lifting for everybody else that now just wants to walk through the door. So in my opinion, Florida State is the belle of the ball, and everybody else is just coming through the door. So I want to give them props. I want to thank Ute and Moen for everything you guys have done for me this month. And thanks to everybody. As Moen said very impassionately, this is one of our best months ever, and April's going to be even bigger. More days in the month. We got more stuff planned. The videos that you was talking about are membership videos. If you're a new member, the minute I close this sucker out, go to the College Football Mafia page and go to the membership tab and watch those membership videos. If you do, you will be the smartest guy at the water cooler on Monday. Moen, you want to put up that graphic one more time?
I do. I have to get one that I actually want to up.
All right, because we're ticking down here.
Is that Duke bikini graphic, Moen?
There we go. No,
I like
please,
this one
no.
better.
Dude, come on, man. This is freaking Moen.
I love it. That's great. That's good
Check
stuff.
out Mo. Ooh, look at that, man. He's got that O face on, Googling, gaggling all these ladies, ogling them. All these ladies, ogling, goggling, Googling.
I don't know.
All these ladies on stage. Congratulations, you made it to the thumbnail.
Good job. Good job, Mo. I appreciate it. Everybody have a great night. Stay out of trouble. Travel safe. Sunday night, Moen, what's going on
Sunday night at 7, join myself and Rockin' Ramp for another episode of Moen After Dark. We're going to have some fun. It'll be a good time. Come join us. We'll talk some college football. We'll talk some movies. We usually get some kind of movie conversation going in there. We'll talk about pretty much whatever you want to talk about. Just come on in and talk to it.
On Tuesday night, it might be Big 12 Mafia or it might be Sit Down, but on one of my shows on Tuesday night, I'm going to be talking with iTalk of the ACC. Sorry, SEC. So we're going to be talking SEC everything. And believe me, we're going to be talking about realignment for people that maybe are going to go there. This guy is he's in the lifeblood of all those reportings. And I would just say, stay tuned. I will put that, Moen's going to build that show for me, and then I'll send out the link. We'll see you Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern with iTalk SEC. I appreciate it. Anything else, guys? All right. Everybody stay out of trouble. Have a great weekend. Appreciate you. Peace out.